Good morning, everyone. This is Mosquito Jim coming to you 5 a.m. Monday, June 16th. Just wanted to talk to you all about some of the issues we've been having with bugs lately. I know we're reaching kind of the product's limitations, and I want to talk about why that is and what we can do about it right now, because a lot of us are just not having the experience that we normally do right now. So I just wanted to kind of pull up a random house in Johnson County, and so you can see here, this is an example of a house, right? All these are. And we have a breeding radius of about 500 feet, okay? That's 500 feet from your lot line on each side. So that goes about 2 to 3 houses in a radius around you, depending on lot size and where you are. That means that any kind of standing water in these zones are going to be breeding. Normally that's not a big problem because we just aren't breeding in very high quantities, right? So let's say this neighbor, let's say we're talking about this house here, 7322. If this neighbor's breeding, they're going to mess around here a little bit. Maybe not affect you at all. Or over here, okay? Or especially in these kind of green areas, berms, especially with this kind of tree canopy, you've got shade, you've got breeding conditions. The problem is let's take a look now at our rainfall. We have had an incredible rainfall event, June 3rd. I was in a conference at the Overland Park Convention Center. I went into a storm shelter. They like shut the conference down while it just poured rain and had a storm system and all that, right? But look at the statistical anomaly. What's more interesting is that this is exactly 7 to 10 days ago, right? So these bugs hatched from June 3rd, we're talking June 10th through 12th. So basically we got slammed last weekend with mosquito populations that are off the charts for this time of year. Now we've had the same amount of rainfall, about 1/3 of an inch different than we do every other year on average. The difference is when it came, because we can usually have manageable conditions throughout the summer. But for this one instance where we had over 2 inches in a single day, that is more rainfall than a lot of these areas will take down, and we've not had time for evaporation because, again, we're talking about shaded habitat. The sunlight's not going to get down to it, and we're going to have thousands of mosquitoes hatch at one time. So I encourage all of you who are having issues, remember that we have a 90% abatement guarantee. But when you're saying 10% of the population survives, and the population could be, 200,000, we're talking 20,000 bugs that are looking for blood meals, or at least half of them who are female, assuming. And that's going to affect every lot around because there are so many bugs looking for blood that where are they going to go? And they don't all, follow each other in a big pack. They're searching for places to lay their eggs. They're going out at 500 feet, or maybe they're hopping tree leaves and going even further away. So, what you can't control is what your neighbors are doing. So I have a neighbor, let's assume this is my house. I've got a neighbor in the back corner who's got a bird bath right on my lot line. That bird bath is breeding bugs if they don't change it every 7 days. And that's something I got to manage. When I go back there cutting the grass, I get bit because the bugs are hanging around that bird bath. But they're not usually going out, across the street. But when we have gigantic conditions all over a certain area, that some of you, not all of you, but some of you are going to be feeling these effects. And so what I can offer for those of you in that situation who are having a suboptimal experience right now is, you can put in a population control trap. I sell these for like, $40 or something. And they go, and you can even put in more than one, but they go in around your lot lines to intercept the mosquitoes. They have a color design designed to attract, as well as a pool of water inside to encourage the breeding of, not the breeding, but the laying of eggs inside the water. And that keeps them from coming up to your back porch or your dog bowl or whatever it is. And those eggs will die inside because it is lined with a larvicide inside the, it's probably not even larvicide because they don't hatch, they just die. And then those bugs will move on or whatever. And so that can help. The other thing we can do is just, wait, right? Because we're not going to get 2 inches of rain in a single day for a while. So in the meantime, we've got to let this population die out and die down as the water sources dry up. They're just going to do their thing. And I think by the 4th of July over here, we're going to see a lot more pleasant, manageable experiences. So anyways, for those of you going through issues right now, I'm sorry. I've stayed up all night, wondering what we can do, and is this going to be an issue that affects everybody on the roster or just people with certain, water sources near their lots? I don't know the answer to that, but I know I got pretty well covered in bug bites, but I was down in Arkansas, so it was an untreated property, and I thought, man, I could do a lot for this place, but it doesn't really matter. Personally, I am comfortable, but I have had reports of some bites, in my yard by kids who are out at peak hours, and peak hours are around that 8 o'clock time frame, 8:30, dusk, if you will, and that's when they come out to sort of party and breed. And if you're a blood source, you're going to be a meal. And so the advice for most of us is to stay inside in the dawn and dusk time, when they kind of do their thing and they meet up and they do form sort of groups at that time and socialize, and males seek females and all that, and blood sources and water sources are targeted. So anyways, like I said, I got sick of reading my emails, so thought I'd make this for you guys to just kind of get some context on what we're going through if you're having some issues. And if there's anything I can do to help, please reach out to us. You know where to find us. Thanks, and be well.